Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank weekend preview, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNola.com. The New Orleans Pelicans swing back into action against the Golden State Warriors Saturday night at New Orleans Arena, which is soon to have another name. Stay tuned for that. And, of course, the Pelicans have lost 7 consecutive games. Lenny, they're injured, obviously losing 3 key players, but they're losing games that they could or maybe should win, including their most recent game with Houston. They just aren't able to finish, and that's got to change.
Yeah, you got to be able to close out. You've got to play 48 minutes of basketball. It's not a 24-minute game. It's not a 36-minute game. When you've got the opportunity to perhaps, close these things out, that's what good teams will do. They will find a way to do it. It was interesting, the way the Rockets closed out Wednesday night, how they turned around on Thursday night, scored 73 points in the first half against Oklahoma City and scored 19 in the second half. What a crazy basketball game that was. But, just the same, getting back to what some of the Pelicans' issues are, you're right. They have had a chance to win these games. Monday night against San Antonio, Wednesday night against Houston. Opportunities to get some good wins against good teams in their own division, not able to do.
Yeah, and the primary problem is on the defensive end, regardless of who's healthy, because before the injury set in, they couldn't stop people, and they still can't. 27th in the league in points allowed out of 30, and they've given up 100 or more in 6 consecutive games, and they've done so 27 times this year in those 39 games played. So that speaks volumes about where they're at. They've got Monday against Memphis on MLK Day, and then they've got a game on Tuesday at Sacramento. So let's see if this losing streak ends sometime soon. College basketball, not as pretty a picture either for Tulane. Very ugly loss to Louisiana Tech, who just dominated them. Tulane, unfortunately, is simply a non-entity right now. UNO, a good win over a lowly Lamar team, but a good win nonetheless. LSU, tough loss to Ole Miss earlier in the week.
Yeah, and obviously we'll start paying a little more attention to college basketball with football over in these parts and conference play underway. Let me say this about Louisiana Tech, and we had a story up yesterday at SportsNola.com. Good to see Michael White, who went to Jesuit and spent some of his formative years here in New Orleans. Coming back in here, the guy can coach, and he's got a pretty good basketball team that might just be the best team in Conference USA and might end up in the NCAA tournament. You look at that team, and you look at the team that Bobby Marlin has at UL Lafayette, and of course, Southern always a contender in the SWAC. LSU, even with the loss to Ole Miss, probably right on the NCAA tournament bubble at this point if you were drawing it up right now, but obviously still 2 months to go. There's the potential there for 4 teams out of Louisiana, and we haven't even touched on what might happen in the Southland Conference, but 4 teams in Louisiana to end up in the NCAA tournament come March.
Well, you really put a pretty picture on what is otherwise not a real pretty picture here in this area anyway, but stay tuned. Hopefully good things will happen where college basketball is concerned. Of course, the New Orleans Saints season is over. Attention now focused on who's going to be here and who's not going to be here next year. 21 free agents of one sort or another, whether unrestricted, restricted, or exclusive rights. And there are about 5 or 6 on that list that are very tough decisions to make.
They will have to make some hard decisions when it comes to those things. And, you've got some time to work these things out. It's not something that's got to get done in the next day or two, but you know that Mickey Loomis is crunching the numbers. The radio interview that he did on Thursday was interesting. It was like, it's like putting together a jigsaw puzzle where every piece is the same color. I can relate to that. I think I just did one of those with my son the other night. But, anyhow, it is because you how you structure things. It's not like you take a piece away and that much money goes away. If you're restructuring deals, how you restructure the deal affects how much things count against the salary cap for this year. So a lot of different ways to make this happen. The Saints are over the cap. That's the first thing they have to address. The Saints are over the salary cap as you look ahead to 2014, and they've got to get under that number by the time the league year starts, I believe, on March 11th.
Prep basketball, district play underway or beginning, one or the other. And, of course, we'll have full coverage at SportsNola.com. And you can listen and watch as we'll have a number of games. Radio next Tuesday night. Brother Martin at home against Jesuit. We'll have that on WGSO 990 AM. And we have a couple of games coming up on WHNO Channel 20 as well.
Right, coming up in February, we'll have a pair of games. We'll be at Brother Martin as they play host to St. Augustine, and then later on in the month it will be Archbishop Rummel against Holy Cross. So a couple of good Catholic League matchups there as we get into the stretch run of the regular season.
And we certainly look forward to that. Recruiting heating up. You can read about Dontrell Hilliard, the newest commitment to Tulane, and follow every day as that picture continues to unwind toward signing day, which, of course, we'll cover fervently and very, very aggressively coming up in early February.
Yeah, and we're back with the coaches can be back on the road now. They can interact with these prospects again. This is the first of 3 really big weekends in a row coming up with official visits and such. You will hear a lot of news coming out of these weekend official visits and exactly, some last-minute decisions getting made, maybe some changes in some of these commitments, but you'll start to see that happen here in the next 3 weeks. And stay with us here at Sports NOLA. We'll have all the latest.
And as we detail at sportsnola.com, the latest high school coaches to step away. Kenny Gilliard at Parkview Baptist, Frank Cazzo at St. Martin's, both outstanding coaches who have posted outstanding records. No doubt that we wish them nothing but the best. One with prayers for health, the other with prayers that he'll get a good job soon, which I'm sure he will. So, again, a lot of coaches moving on in prep sports, but typically speaking, the ones that are good, don't worry about them. They'll find a new home.
Yeah, absolutely. And one job, of course, that we'll be finding out who the new position is at Hahnville, and that's, stay tuned there. We'll see what happens there. I know you had the story earlier this week with one of the candidates, and there are many, but it could be that's one of the big fish jobs, if you will, out there in not just New Orleans area, but all of Louisiana.
Indeed. Lenny, as always, thanks very much. Have a great weekend.
We'll talk to you on the next side, Monday or Tuesday.
That is our first NBC Bank weekend preview, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. For Lenny, I'm Kenny. Have a great weekend, and God bless.